something is going wrong. Why can't I select change into avatar?
I think we have some Dutch people here.
Dutch? I'm Dutch. Well, I'm Flemish Dutch from Belgium, so the superior race. Belgium isn't even a real country anyway. Don't say it though. Don't say it out loud.
No.
Victorious Buddhas, compassionate ones, throughout the infinite worlds of the 10 directions, grant your blessings so that the inner and outer work that I accomplished today bears the fruits that multiply beyond imagining and extend to the very limits of this existence to benefit myself, the ones I love, and the countless other beings of the 6 realms.
Thank you, Junior. Alright, and hello everybody. Can you all hear me well? I'm not using the VR headset today,
Yeah.
so does the sound okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a bit low. I can hear you.
A bit low, so
Yes.
if you, maybe you could try clicking on me and increasing the volume to 125 or 150%. And if that doesn't help, I can try fooling around a bit, but I don't have my gears here.
It's fine now.
Alright, so perfect. Alright, so today we gather to discuss the reality of human life, and I'm trying new things, I guess, today. Since I'm on PC, I've decided I would try and stream it on the Discord channel. I see that White Wolf is connected, so hello, White Wolf. Maybe others will join. But it's been requested a few times now that we stream either on Discord or on Facebook in the Facebook group, so I might experiment with that in the next few sessions. So today you are the ones on TV, because everything is filmed from my point of view. Yeah. I would also try to maybe play around with the order in which we conduct the session. So what we do usually is we do the reading and the commenting. And to me that relates a lot to Vipassana, which is discursive meditation, which we're supposed to think about the teachings of the Buddha and everything. So usually we don't call it Vipassana, right? We just do a shamatha after that, and then we do Tonglen and then Vipassana. So I think let's try to do another order today. Let's start with 10 minutes of shamatha, then we do the reading and commentary together, and then we can move back and try the Tonglen. And my idea there is that maybe it will help us through the rationalization and through the thinking in our relaxed state. Maybe it will help arise the right feelings for Tonglen, which I know a lot of people struggle with. So yeah, let's do this little experiment today and see how it goes. Do we have a volunteer reader for today's lecture?
Yeah, sure.
Awesome, Mark. So
Let's-
whenever you want, join me.
Give me a sec. Yeah. I need to look up some words because they were really but I
Cryptic,
will be
yeah.
doing well.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Reality
We'll
of
understand
human
anyway.
life. People in this world are prone to be selfish and unsympathetic. They do not know how to love and respect one another. They argue and quarrel over trifling affairs only to do their own harm and suffering. And life becomes but a dreary round of unhappiness, regardless of whether they are rich or poor. They worry about money, they suffer from poverty, they suffer from wealth, because their lives are controlled by greed. They are never contented, never satisfied. A wealthy man worries about his estate if he has one. He worries about his mansion and all other possessions. He worries lest some desires befall him. His mansion burn down, robbers break in, kidnappers carry him off, then he worries about that and the disposition of his wealth. Indeed, his way to death is lonely, and nobody follows him to death. A poor man always suffers from insufficiency, and this serves to awaken endless desires for a land and a house. Being aflamed with covetousness, he wears out both his body and mind, and comes to death in the middle of his life. The whole world seems pitted against him, and even the path to death seems lonesome. As thought he was a long journey to make and no friends to keep him company. Now there are 5 evils in the world. First, there is cruelty. Every creature, even insects, strive against one another. The strong attack the weak deceive the strong. Everywhere there is fighting and cruelty. Second, there is the lack of clear demarcation between the rights of father and a son, between an elder brother and a younger, between a husband and a wife, between a senior relative and a younger. On every occasion, each one desires to be the highest and to profit of the others. They cheat each other. There is deception and lack of sincerity. Third, there is the lack of a clear demarcation as the behavior between man and woman. Everyone at times has impure and lascivious thoughts and desires that lead them into questionable acts and often into disputes, fighting, injustice and wickedness. Fourth, there is the tendency for people to disrespect the rights of others, to exaggerate their own importance at the expense of others, to set bad examples of behavior and being unjust in their speech, to deceive, slander and abuse others. Fifth, there is a tendency for people to neglect their duties toward others. They think too much of their own comfort and their own desires. They forget the favors they have received and cause annoyance to others that often passes into great injustice. People should have more sympathy for one another. They should respect one another for their good traits and help one another in their difficulties, but instead they are selfish and hard-hearted. They despise one another for their failings and dislike others for their advantages. These aversion generally grows worse with time and after a while becomes intolerable. These feelings of dislike do not soon end in acts of violence, yet they poison life with feelings of hatred and anger that become so deeply carved into the mind that people carry the marks into the cycle of reincarnation. Truly, in this world of lust, a person is born alone and dies alone, and there is no one to share one's punishment in the life after death. The law of cause and effects is universal. Each person must carry one's burden of sin and must go along to its retribution. The same law of cause and effects controls good deeds. A life of sympathy and kindness will result in good fortune and happiness. As years go by and people see how strongly they are bound by greed, habit, and suffering, they become very sad and discouraged. Often in their discouragement they quarrel with others and sink deeper into sin and give up trying to walk the true path. Often their lives come some untimely end in the very midst of their wickedness, and they suffer forever. This fallen in discouragement because of one's misfortune and suffering is most unnatural and contrary to the law of heaven and earth, and therefore one will suffer both in this world and in the worlds after death. It's true that everything in this life is transitory and filled with uncertainty, but it is lamentable that anyone should ignore this fact and keep on trying to seek enjoyment and satisfaction of his desires. It is natural in this world of suffering for people to think and act selfishly and egoistically, and because of it, it's equally natural for suffering and unhappiness to follow. People favor themselves and neglect others. People let their own desires run into greed and lust and all manner of evil. Because of these they must suffer endlessly. Times of luxury do not last long, but pass away very quickly. Nothing in this world can be enjoyed forever. Therefore, people should cast away, while they are young and healthy, all their greed and attachment to worldly affairs, and should seek earnestly for true enlightenment. For there can be no lasting reliance or happiness apart from enlightenment. Most people, however, disbelieve or ignore this law of cause and effect. They go on in their habits of greed and selfishness, being obvious of the fact that a good deed brings happiness and an evil deed brings misfortune. Nor do they really believe that one's act in this life condition the following life and implicate others with regard to the rewards and punishment for their sins. They lament and cry about their sufferings, entirely misunderstanding the significance their present acts have upon their following lives and the relation their sufferings have to the acts of their previous lives. They think only of present desire and present suffering. Nothing in this world is permanent or lasting. Everything is changing and momentary and unpredictable. But people are ignorant and selfish and are concerned only with the desires and sufferings of the passing moment. They do not listen to the good teachings, nor do they try to understand them. They simply give themselves up to be present interests, to wealth and lust. From time immemorial, an incalculable number of people have been born into this world of delusion and suffering. And they are still being born. It is fortunate, however, that the world has the Buddha teaching and that people can believe in them and be helped. Therefore, people should think deeply, should keep their minds pure and their bodies well, should keep away from greed and evil, and should seek good. To us, fortunately, the knowledge of the Buddha teaching has come. We should seek to believe in them and wish to be born in Buddha's pure land. Knowing Buddha's teaching, we should not follow others into greedy and sinful ways, nor we should keep Buddha's teaching to ourselves alone, but should practice the teaching and pass them to others.
Thank you very much, Mark.
No problem.
All right, so that's where I want to try to vary the format a little bit. Maybe as you were listening, you picked up on some elements that spoke to you a little bit more, or you detected things that you needed to reflect upon. So let's just do a 10 minutes shamatha here to let today's lecture sink in. And after that, once we're relaxed and well integrated, we can come back and discuss it together. So, go. If you have not done so, please mute yourself during meditation to avoid phone ringings, dog barkings, and the like. And then let's just relax together. First, settle down. You had a long day. Make sure you're sitting comfortable. Take a few deep breaths. Make sure that our head well relaxed. There is no tension whatsoever on top of our head, behind, around our eyes, ears, jaw. Let's make sure that the eyes are especially well. The eyelids are just sitting down naturally, just a little bit open. Same thing with the mouth, no clenching of teeth, it's very. Let's just keep the tongue sitting on the upper body. A bit of air might be going through the lips. Fine. Let's start raising our consciousness and our awareness of breath. Start feeling the breath against our nostrils, the freshness entering our nose, our head, throat, all the way down inside the lung, moving chest cavity. Sure our neck relax, back of the head, neck down to the shoulder. Well, let's make sure that our spine is straight from the head to our bottom, that it's well aligned. I can use my little trick of balancing back forth, left and right, until you fall to naturally balanced posture. Put your hands comfortably on your laps. You don't have to do any special gesture, but if you want to hold the mudra, you can do it. Make sure that your chest is soft. Your upper back is soft as well. Your upper body is all completely relaxed. No tension. If you find the tension, bring your attention to it and just release. Your arms are very relaxed. Your hands. If you're using controllers, it's a good idea to tie them to your wrist so that you don't have too much pressure on hanging to them strongly. Don't need a tough grip. Keep them in your hands. Relax fingers. And then your lower. Your all comes everything on the board. Go all the way down to your leg. Relax them, relax your thighs, relax lower legs, feet, onto the tip of your toes. Then let's breathe. Breathe out deep. Try to remember the elements of X over you. And keep at least 25% of your attention on the breath as you remember them. Good. Yourself why you are so selfish. So how your life would be or extremely poor or extremely rich. Or maybe you're into the boundary, limit freedom person. And let loose of the breath. Keep following out of the body. While witnessing your own thoughts about this topic. You can think about respect and compassion. Well, or ask ourselves where feelings of dislikes are born. Or think of cause and effect, even into the breath. People that are discouraged or bitter can also give thought, wondering how they. Or think of the times where we put ourselves before others. teaching is helping, how it could help others. And whenever you feel like it, get out softly of your meditation and back into the room. All right, did that work well for everybody? Did you manage to relax a little bit and conjure some useful thoughts in there?
I can't feel my toe anymore. I think the blood flow to my right feet is a bit gone.
You're in the floor underneath Senkai, so you have been lagging a bit forward, so we can't see you and your voice is lagging, so I think you need to respawn.
Who respawn?
You. I think they're saying that
Me?
you're a victim of
Carl,
the infamous chair.
you have been lagging and you're beneath Senkai in the floor.
I'm not Carl, I'm Casper.
Is it Carl?
Oh, Casper, my bad.
Okay. So, do I have to rejoin the world?
So
or
that-
just...
Just
That should
reload
be
it.
fun.
Hmm?
Can't see call.
Do I just have to
Where
rejoin?
is he?
You're fun.
Oh wait. Do I just have to rejoin the world?
Now you're back.
Oh wait, now I'm back?
No.
No,
can
you
go
didn't.
escape.
Now you're back, but your chair was doing weird.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
Okay.
My
Alright,
feet
that-
is asleep. Sorry.
So that was
Now
a
you're back.
powerful meditation. Whenever you found yourself fused with the floor or floating in the air, it's a good meditation. All right. So so let's hope everybody relax a little bit, and I will tell you what I got from today's lecture, how I relate to it. So let's start with why we are so prone to be selfish and unsympathetic. Been reading recently. Desmond Morris was the author of The Naked Hate, and he would probably argue that our evolutionary path took us from being fruit-eating monkeys that traveled less than a mile a day to solo hunters that could go hundreds of miles away from home for days at a time. There's a fundamental difference between predators and the way that our monkey ancestors lived, and that's pretty much it. Monkeys stay as a group and they move very little, and they move together. While, for example, a lion could be chasing its prey very, very far away and then bringing back the carcass to the family. And to not be detected, predators tend to defecate in one spot, while basically monkeys will throw their feces to whoever is looking. So it was a big change in behavior in our evolution, if you do believe in the evolution of species, obviously. That we went from being clansmen to actually solo predators. So as men went away and left their wife, kids behind, everyone was frustrated and hardened emotionally a little. New feelings of jealousy were created. New requirements for loyalty were created as well. And so that kind of stressed the clan a little bit more. But since you won't go hunting if you pay attention to that, you kind of have to ignore your emotions a little bit. So it's no wonder that thousands of years after that, sometimes we feel numb. Sometimes we feel disconnected from our emotions because, we could have recovered from that, and it could have been only a historical fact. But predatory humans are still pretty much alive. We hunt for sport. We raise livestock to kill them, and we devour all kinds of food now. On a subtler level, we also believers in the American dream, in being go-getters. and leaving everything that we love behind to reach our goals. And as an entrepreneur, I have learned to carry my home in my heart over the years, and often regretted the fact that I often chose work over the possibility of being with my loved one. We became hunters out of necessity. Now we keep it up out of delusion. It is, after all, very difficult to die of hunger in most countries of the world nowadays. So how can we justify that type of behavior? I know that my society rewards individualism. Maybe yours does too. When I
All
was a
Europe does.
child, I'm sorry. All
I
Europe
think
does,
that
yeah,
the European does it.
yeah. Actually, there's a big difference. I like spending time in what, the so-called third world. Uh, and one reason for that is that the family ties are so much tighter. The social fiber is so much different than what you would encounter in America or in Europe nowadays. People stick together and they understand that their survival is clan-based still. So it's like seeing a picture a little bit earlier in our evolution as a society, but saying evolution for the better, transformation as a society. Well, when I was a child, we didn't have a lot of money. In fact, we didn't have money at all. And therefore, we obsessed about it. Every day, we wondered if we could pay our bills. We could buy the things that we wanted to eat, and not only those that we could afford. I came to hate money because it made my father angry and my mother cry. I also felt like I could never get a house of my own or work in the fields that really interested me because they all required someone. For example, as a kid, I dreamt of building robots, and I met friends over the years who had wealthy fathers who could help them build robots in their basement. That was completely beyond me. And of course, these people would reach university with years of experience and a lot of cool projects already built. And I could never aspire to that because I didn't even have the money to buy bits and pieces or get started. So very early on, I decided that I would make enough money to never think about it. And although today I can say that I have pretty much attained that goal, I've had a few houses now, bills pay themselves, and traveling around the world is not a problem. I could also argue that I was deceiving myself and that money stole my entire life away. I gave it way too much importance, focused too much on the need of it. So, whatever you choose, whatever it is, the lack of money or the acquisition of money that's obsessing you, the minute that you have an obsession, you're basically poor. The Buddha once spoke also about the suffering caused by ownership. And the best way to look at this is quite simple. What you own owns you. Buy a house and you'll have to make sure that it's locked and well maintained, that the grass is cut, that the roof is replaced. Get a car and you will probably worry that it doesn't get scratched. You might worry about parking it in the city. Change the fluids, replace the brakes, fix it all the time. Have kids, plant a garden, build a company. It's all pretty much the same thing. If you allow things, persons of animals in your life and become attached to them, then they become a source of worry. Not saying that you should avoid these things, but let us just be conscious that the more we allow in our inner circle, and the more we have to worry about. I'm hearing some feedback in the room. Just make sure that you are muted. Um, I'm always shocked when I go to a single friend's house. Most of them own very few things and barely bother to cook or pick up for themselves. Many of them don't care too much about a career either. That's especially true about my male friends. I think that somehow they don't care because they are only caring for themselves. Maybe they don't love themselves, I don't know. Maybe they feel it's not important enough. Or maybe they're simply not worried because they feel that they have everything that they need. They don't feel like the survival of anything depends on them. So they have a lot of time to, it seems to me, do the things that they feel like doing and are not too enslaved by their obligation. Again, I'm not saying this is better or worse, but I feel I get this way of living too. If I wasn't surrounded by and surrendered by the people I love, I guess I could have lived like that too. Whether you're poor, wealthy, or autonomous, the lecture points out, it seems like loneliness is unavoidable. No matter what happens, we feel a bit like the world is leaving us behind, don't we? Without money, without peace, without love, sometimes. That's where it becomes so important to cultivate a rich heart and a rich life. I am obviously not talking about money here. I guess I'm rather, well, I'm not even talking about the richness of experience, to be honest. I'm rather speaking about contentment and gratefulness, which, as I often mention, is the only way to feel genuinely rich, to be genuinely rich. Those that never manage to let such feelings arise are the ones that feel the necessity to compete. They are also the ones that grow discouraged and bitter. They try to take more, be more, and as a result, they also overstep their bounds and hurt, even kill others in the process. Killing is such a big word, right? But you don't have much to do to kill another human being. You just have to take a little bit more than you need. Imagine you were crossing the desert with a group of companions and one decided to drink all of the water. And you're at the beginning of your journey. Others would die. Maybe you would die because of selfishness. And the world is that desert. This is what happens with the resources distribution on the global scale. So personally, I like the saying that I first read about on the internet, that when you have more than you need, build a larger table, not a taller fence. I would advise all of us to do the same. I don't know if I shared that, but in my father's generation, the family was very, very poor, and they had basically a 2 bedrooms apartment, one kitchen, one bathroom, and one hallway. That was the entire place. And there were 10 kids and 2 adults in there. And although it was already pretty, cramped, my grandfather, every year, he would get a homeless person to live in the bathroom and sleep in the bath. And he would feed him the entire winter. Because it was lost space otherwise. People use only a few hours a day. So, to me, it's a great inspiration. My grandfather has always been a great inspiration, and the way he took care of his family and the people around. And I wish I could do more of that. I wish we could all do more of that. Buddhism teaches loving kindness so that we understand while those that live violently do it. So that we can understand that phenomenon a bit better, if you so that we see that those fears and that loneliness are also in us, so that we could teach others through our example by remaining gentle even during difficult times. Feelings of lack, desire, and frustration lead to reincarnation because they make you obsess over what you don't have. Remember that the realms of existence in Buddhism are first and foremost states of mind. So obviously, if you are in that great feeling of lack, if you are, symbolically burning with desire, then you are forever real. Your mind can't be at peace. The book points this out in a powerful way, saying that some of us come to death in the middle of our life. So, a little question for you guys here. What do you think that means? What do you think that it means to die in the middle of your life? First, we need to understand the meaning of living. What does it mean to be alive? So, what does that
Experience the
mean?
world around you.
Mhm.
So
Right.
dying in
Would you say
midlife is having a lot of experience you can still do and learn.
So would you say that to be alive is to be present to what's around, and to be dead on your feet would be the contrary of that, basically?
Yes.
I'd say it could be like, you know how in beginning when you're a child you look up to everything and everything is wonderful and looks amazing and everything can be used with your imagination to growing up to a teen that you're still exploring your surroundings, yourself, your emotions, than to an adult. It's often in the middle of sometimes what sometimes people call a midlife crisis, so also like in the middle of their life that they kind of lose how or why they are still here and what they want to do, while before they were just experiencing and living, and now they come to a halt and they feel stuck. And I think in a way dying in midlife could be partly also be seen as getting stuck into depression or into a field that you don't see no colors anymore, no interests in, no joy in a sense.
I feel that's very insightful, to link it with midlife crisis, because yes, what is midlife crisis if not your desire to restore um, some joy, some novelty, um, some self-realization in your life? We, yes, come as marveling child into this world, and then with time, we everything starts turning gray into cardboard. I like to say everything becomes of like insipid, tasteless. And when that happens, and you start focusing on the things that have no meaning, for example, work, 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 money, 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 or the entire movement of extreme sports is like a symptom of us looking to feel. Addictions are another symptom of that. We are trying to put ourselves through more and more and more so that we feel alive a little bit. And so when you reach that point, it's because you feel dead inside. Now, there are two ways to die in life. Well, three actually. You have the biological death. I won't be referring to this one. And there is to die inside like this, as if basically your spirit has died. And we've just covered. But there's a third and probably better way to die that will link with Christ's resurrection in Christianity, and with reincarnation and nirvana in Buddhism. And that way is to die to the world. Basically, to remove your expectations, remove your ideas about the world and what you think you should do, but instead just go back to being present. So it's creating space by removing some ego between the world and you, not leading the ego lead your relationship with the world. You could even say not allowing the brain to lead your relationship with the world. I was talking with somebody this week about politics. It's a person that works in the field, and I was trying to do a little bit of coaching, and I was saying, you are a very smart person, and so everything that you achieve in your life, you achieve through your brain because you think about it. But be warned that the brain is a calculator. It is a calculating machine, and who says calculating is also meaning scheming. And so scheming is evil, mostly, If you live your life from the brain, you're pretty much using first a calculator to advise you, and second, you are not necessarily putting your feelings up front and answering to that visceral need of feeling alive. So these are a very important consideration. When you choose to be content instead, you can use the vital energy that you were investing in your fear for something else. In your depression, in your anxiety, your fear of living basically gets rerouted into something more constructive. That is a great liberation. It feels like a breath of fresh air. It's very spacious. As was mentioned in the lecture, you feel luckier, happier. And then, frankly, what more do you want? What more enlightenment do you want? If you're content, then life is beautiful, isn't it? You can even share the joy and the beauty and make more people happy in the process. Of course, you can put yourself through 20 years of meditation, or you can learn to be content with everything right here, right now, no matter what happens. What do you think is preventing us from getting there? What do you think is preventing you from being content with your life? That's not rhetorical.
Yeah. I'd say in terms of anxiety, it would be resulted by fear, and in a way you could link fear as well with an ego, as you might be afraid that this might happen or that might happen, so you start thinking about yourself and becoming afraid of everything, like going outside, just in general. I think it's also linked with the ego itself, because I'm not so sure. I think fear is just linked with that. You're afraid to lose something, maybe yourself, maybe your life, maybe your sanity. So it's about the sense of losing something, and you can only lose something if you have something, if you have possession, if it's your vanity, or if it's your whatever it could be. So yeah,
So
something like
your
that.
ego pretty much thinks that it's alive, pretty much thinks that it is you. And when you experience, let's say, anxiety or fear, you're basically experiencing the fear of the ego that's afraid to disappear. It's afraid that you won't pay attention to it anymore, that you won't preserve it, that you won't save it. And it disguises as your body, as your feelings, as your thoughts, as your beliefs. All kinds of ways this ego was trying to say, look, we are precious. Help us stay alive.
Yeah, indeed, in a
And
way. Yeah.
what is amazing is that what we're experiencing on a lesser level there is the agony of death. Just think about it. Let us make that thought exercise for just a minute here. Let's think we are on our deathbed. We have 1 hour to. What do we think about in this last hour?
How did you
You
live
think,
your life, for example?
Yeah, what you have done with your life, was it meaningful? So maybe some regrets, but also you think a lot about your attachments, right? What you're leaving behind. Will your kids be okay? Will your family be fine? Will I ever smell a flower again? Will I ever feel the sun on my skin again? You know, it's an incredible grief because all of those feelings, memories, sensations, and everything, you kind of have to let go of them now. And you don't want to. But the difference with real death is that no matter how much yelling, screaming, kicking, and biting you'll do, you'll die anyway. So there's a component there where you have to let go. And I'll call that people who die beautifully are those that manage to let go very early on in the death of the incremental death of the body. You know? If you have a terminal cancer, for example, and they give you 3 months, some people get at peace within the first week, and others are not at peace at the end. But every time we experience fear, that's like a survival instinct that's kicking in, and it's trying to make us believe that we are in dangers that do not really exist. So it is a fake person inventing fake dangers, and that keeps us awake at night. That's kind of crazy, isn't it? And we're all doing that. So what is preventing us from being content is, yes, this fear and this feeling of separation, that the world is there to get us, that the world is there to compete with us. And sometimes it is, but that's bad enough, isn't it? No need to obsess about it and put more energy and more time and more thoughts in that. So it's better to just say, okay, the world's like this. Maybe I would have designed it differently, but that's how it is. And I'm going to be content with my experience. Freak, which comes up at the night session. Yes, Mark?
And if you are content with everything, does the challenge go away?
Could you expand on that?
If you are content with a relationship or something, or content with the work that you have, or content with how your house looks, doesn't you get the... Then you don't have any challenge to do better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Is it important to do better?
In some ways, yes, because you can improve on things, but if you are content with your work, it's fine. But most people also like to have a bit of a challenge. If you are completely content with everything, you are not challenged enough to live.
So that's where playfulness kicks in. And let me explain here the perverse nature of becoming. When you're trying to become better, first you are rejecting what you are. You are saying to yourself that that I am is not sufficient. It is not good enough. It needs to be better. If you look at yourself that way, it means that you are motivated by some ideals or some desire that you have idealized, right? You have an idea of the perfect being somehow, and you're trying to live up to that expectation. Well, if you do that, and if you have that judgment upon yourself, it means that others won't measure up to that being either. So you will judge them insufficient as well. So it always starts with a violence that we do to ourselves, saying, I don't like that part of me, or I don't love that part of me. I am not content with it. So that's what fuels becoming. And in that judgment, there is judgment of others. Um, and there is our yearning for others to become something else that they're not. And therefore, we become violent with them as well. The way that a teacher would beat you with a ruler so that you learn your lessons, right? Or that even if it's done lovingly, it's still beating you up, trying to turn you into something that you're not, or get you to acquire knowledge that they think is essential. So becoming is not as healthy as being, simply being. And it's easy to illustrate that, because if you are worried about becoming, then you are worried. Then you are a bit fearful that you would stay the same. Then you want something that you don't have, and you will be moving. You will be trying to add stuff to who you are. And in this, there's a lot of anxiety. There's fear of violence and anxiety in this. There's also frustration because you might not reach your goals, and so there's also anger in this. Now, if you're just content, maybe the challenge is gone. But what happens in your life? Can't you afford to be peaceful now that you feel that you have everything? And what happens when you're peaceful and you feel very good? Well, what happens is playfulness. You start dancing, you start exploring the world, you start looking at animals and plants and feeling the wind, you start contemplating everything that is around you because your mind is at peace. So your marriage is easier with your environment. And since you become that spacious and that curious and that open, you can welcome people into that and share the spaciousness and the love and the peace and make others peaceful as well. So, in a way, not trying to become anything helps everybody become more peaceful.
Yeah,
To
okay,
me,
so you help people by becoming more content. You can help people to be also more content with their lives.
yes, because if imagine that if around you tomorrow, Mar, you were surrounded only by people who are at peace, who are never scared, who are never anxious. At some point, if you were anxious and worried, you would start feeling a bit silly, no? You
Yeah.
would have to look at them and think, well, what's the thing I'm not getting here? I feel like crap and they don't. What's wrong? And so, and so you would let go of the fear without the pressure from your environment and pressure from your loved one also. You would feel like your life is worth it. Scarlett, your microphone is on. All right.
I already muted her or him, so.
Yeah. Um, so that's how that works, and it's an amazing thing about Buddhism, where by working at your own liberation and at your own enlightenment, you actually become a little candle in the world, and you can pass the fire to another one. And they say that just one candle can light 100 others or 1,000 others. So it's not like you can exhaust that.
No,
Um,
definitely. the world needs positivity a lot.
I was
Yeah.
thinking.
Well, yes, Casper.
I was thinking about something you said. If you are surrounded by people who are at peace, if you would suddenly start feel anxious, you might feel silly. But I've been reminding myself that the situation sometimes is the opposite. That especially now, I try to calm myself more down and be more at ease. For example, if I go to my mom and there's something with the bills or something with the monthly whatever the things, because I have to do all those stuff sometimes because she doesn't really know all the payments on the computer and stuff. So she starts freaking out because she doesn't fully understand, and she has to let me handle it. And she starts freaking out while I stay calm, and sometimes it gets annoyed. She gets annoyed at me, and she said, "How can you stay so calm like that? I mean, that's not normal. Are you not annoyed at this as well?" And I say, "Yes, I'm annoyed at it as well. But if I start freaking out like you, I'm not going to be productive because it will just feed our negativity to one and another." But yeah. I mean, you stand out when you act differently from your surroundings, whether it's positive or negative.
Someone asked the Jiddu Krishnamurti many years ago, when you reach enlightenment, does it mean that your life is free of conflicts? And Krishnamurti, and I think I told you guys that before, but I will repeat it. Krishnamurti answered, no, you're not free from conflicts, but they come from others. They don't come from you anymore. And to me, that says it all. You are not the cause of conflicts anymore. So if you had 25 conflicts a year before, now at least you get to have 12 or 13, you know? You've solved half the equation there. And if you surround yourself with people who are not conflictive as well, let's imagine a young kid that's being raised in a Tibetan monastery, for example. For them, anxiety and fear must be extremely silly, because they're not surrounded by that. They're surrounded by peace for a long while, and duty and discipline and loving kindness and everything. Not that it's perfect. Crappy stuff happens even in monasteries. Not all human beings are perfect, but it is a different experience of life for sure. And so I guess my invitation is just to say, let's solve our path. Let's make sure that we are not a source of division and of conflict and of violence in the world. And if only in this room we were all to do that, imagine that's already quite a difference on the world. Might not be significant us against billions, but it is quite significant us with our families, us with our schools, with our workplace, and us together as an environment where we don't push one another to become, when we don't push one another to be fearful and feel inadequate. I think if a Sangha accomplishes, it should be this, to kind of provide that safe shelter where we can get together knowing that nobody expects nothing from nobody. You are welcome as you are, where you are, when you are. And to me, that's a very beautiful thing. That's why it's called one of the jewels of Buddhism.
But in a way, isn't there also quite some division in the structure of Buddhism as well, in terms of beliefs, the way... I don't know all of those things, but there are like different kinds of belief systems or different kinds of paths in Buddhism, depending on what they follow, what they think should follow, or how they were established in the past and transformed into the now, like sanghas or whatever. Yeah.
So it is said in Buddhism that there were three turnings of the wheel. First was Hinayana, or sometimes called Theravada. Theravada includes a bit of Mahayana, I guess. But anyway, so Hinayana is like directly linked to the historical Buddha. Mahayana introduces the ideas of loving kindness and the mind-only theories. And then you have the third, the turning of the wheel, which is Vajrayana, which is like a faster path to enlightenment using yoga, more or less. And that's Tibetan Buddhism. Now, these are not necessarily beliefs, but like reinterpretation of the original teaching. In doubt, you can go back to Hinayana, and it's in Hinayana that you would find the three jewels. So about the deep meaning of the Sangha, it's not actually a place or a group of elites that get together. Sangha has the meaning of communion. It is for people all around the world to meet spiritually in peace. You understand? If I do peace on my own, and you do peace over there in your country, and Carl and Kado and Jared are also doing their peace where they are, well, that peace that we experience is pretty much a place. It's pretty much the same. It's pretty much something that connects us. And that's the real meaning of the Sangha there, is a communion of spirit. And I would guess that in Christianity, that's also what the origin that of communion was. For example, Christ would say, this is my body, and he would share bread. And to me, that's saying, like, I am everywhere. You need to find me, and same thing with the wine. I'm in the wine, I'm in the bread, I'm in the rock, I'm in the table. I'm everywhere. And just connect to me, and you will see that Christ is always alive. You'll see that God is alive. So the idea is that we connect through a nirvana state. And that was the original use of the Sangha word. It didn't mean a community of individuals. It was the community of the enlightened that kind of met on this plane and did a communion together. So you could call it belief, but to me, love is love and peace is peace. So that is pretty much real, although you can't touch it. It's a very relatable human being. I'm sorry?
Yeah, I was just listening, yeah.
Okay, no, I think somebody joined in the Discord and was
Oh, yeah.
and was telling about an issue that they were having, but kind of lost that. By the way, hello, Hardik Jerry. It's nice to see you attending first session. He's on Discord right now. Been working with Hardik for many years now, and even Ban is connected over there. So hello, you guys. The streaming thing seems to be working.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway.
Oh, right, we're streaming.
Yeah. So without further ado, guys, let's do a little meditation. And the way that I want us to meditate today is a metta meditation. Metta is the Sanskrit word that's been translated many times as loving kindness or compassion. But we will do it in the following way. We will simply try and generate feelings of feel-good feelings, if you will, for whatever our experience is. So if you start hitching, feel good about that. If you start thinking, feel good about that. If you need to move and you do, feel good about that. So it's like it's kind of an anything goes type of meditation. You can, focus on your breath if you want, if it anchors you. But then let us imagine also how it would be if we could have a feel-good feeling like that, even about difficulties, like pain, for example. There's a practitioner on our night session that said that he did try that, the metta meditation, and not long ago he got like a 3-inch splinter in his hand and had to go to the hospital and have it removed, and there was no anesthetics that could help him. So he resorted to meditation, seeing the pain moment by moment, and saying something like, "Pain, you're not evil. This is not very fun, but it's okay. You're just an experience." So I really like that he managed to practice his meditation in action like this, because that's where it becomes very useful. And that's one powerful practice towards content. So let's do that. Let us just sit for another 10 minutes and let us just feel very content and very good. You can put a smile on your face also. So while you're meditating, you will see that when we smile physically, it does something emotionally. So try to explore that as well. Put a big grin on your face, and that's relaxing it. Start still with 3 deep breaths just to get in the mood. If your mind wanders and getting lost in thoughts, just try to bring it back to the breath, just to back that smile on your face also. Wow. Although it is tiring after a while to have a big grin like this, and get relaxed about it also, as long as you're there psychologically and emotionally. I appreciate your respect. Breathe. Then let's just turn it into a Tonglen meditation. Now that we know how to relate very well with our own feelings, that we are able to arise bodhicitta and arise goodwill towards our experiences, let's conjure the image of people that we know that are suffering right now, that are not dealing very well with their circumstances. Imagine their face and their struggle. Imagine the emotions that they have to go through. And let's impart that wisdom, share that wisdom with them so that they may feel better and deal better with their circumstances. You can, as we usually do with Tonglen, breathe that wisdom out as a white light that lands on your loved one. And you can take their struggles in you and aspire it into some kind of dark smoke, and then apply your goodwill to it, your generosity, your contentment, your forgiveness, let it all be all right. Let your loved ones feel all right. So breathe in smoke, breathe out the light. And also imagine the impact on your life. If you were to relate life's challenges differently every day. You can imagine how the situation could like transform. Relate to them with goodness and love. Breathe while you're visualizing. Welcome back, Bun Bun. We
Internet's
are.
been wonky.
I'm sorry.
Internet's been weird.
Oh, sorry. So I guess that's it for today. How do you guys feel? Did it work better to do it in that sequence? To kind of relax and chat together and then try to integrate it a little bit? Did that work for you?
Yeah, I liked it.
I really like it too.
Yeah, it definitely helps to
I-
take some relaxed time before speaking.
Yeah.
I also like instead of like a full half hour without a break, that it's like in shorter bursts where maybe people are more concentrated with each part, while maybe in the beginning it might they might go easy with, but eventually slow down at the end. While if you split it up, the attention might be fully there all the way.
All right, that's interesting. So let's try more of that next time. I also think that streaming has been useful today. I saw now there's nobody connected anymore on the stream, but I saw like 5 or 6 people total coming there.
Oh,
Whether
Nice.
they had
maybe
location problems or internet problems or VR chat, whatever.
maybe you should become a Twitch
I think it's
user.
a good backup. Oh no, I hope not.
Ah, welcome
I don't
to
want to go that far down the rabbit hole.
every time someone joins in, you get like a notification and a cartoon popping up with a sound effect. Welcome to my Twitch.
Yeah, you've just convinced me that I won't do that. All right, but thank you guys for being here today. Julia, if you want to join me, we can do. Oh well, first of all, yeah, wait a bit. I'm going too fast ahead. Does anybody have an interesting insight or experience this week that they would like to share or discuss together? Maybe a
Not
question.
really.
Well, I'm dealing with my anxiety a lot better recently, so that's good.
Yeah, that's always nice to hear. How much of that do you attribute to the teachings and you putting them in practice?
Well, I learned a lot by just simply being aware, which meditation does, and being aware of the body and being aware of my surroundings. That, for example, I went outside today. I woke up, took a shower, and then immediately went outside to the store. That's something that I didn't used to do, because I would wake up and prepare myself to go to the store. Sometimes I would prepare myself for a couple of hours, trying to find inner strength to not fall into anxiety, for example. But I started to notice that all this preparation time for something as simple as going somewhere was actually like a self-fulfilling prophecy, that I was actually contributing the anxiety. And sometimes I would go outside and I would fall into an anxiety trap, and I would be annoyed, and I was like, I prepared all this time and now it still happened. Why? And I'm like, well, maybe because I spent all this time thinking about preparing. I mean, why would you prepare for something if it wasn't because something might go wrong? So by just going
Yeah, I
out,
know the feeling.
yeah, by just getting out the shower and immediately going to the store and then going inside. One time I actually did it just pure on accident. I had to do something, so I was like, yeah, let me just do this so I'm done with it, and then I can do that. And without realizing what I used to prepare for such a long time for, I just did it in like less than 2 hours. I did it all. And I was like, okay, well, guess I fooled myself here. But it was a good it was a good
Well done.
it was a good way because it made me realize that all the preparation and all the building up was in a way the cause of it all. What I thought was like preparing myself was actually, you know, in your subconscious. I still, just don't be prepared. That sounds wrong as well, because in certain situations you need to be prepared. I mean, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I used to feel like that too.
So that's like the opposite of the Tao's Wu Wei teaching of effortless effort. When you start preparing like that, basically you're putting a lot of emotional and psychological pain into a task that doesn't need to have that. You know, in a way, I would relate it to somebody that is so afraid that they will get shot by the police that whenever they meet a policeman, they start running. And you know, therefore they increase the risk of being shot by the police because you don't run when you meet them. It's better not to. So in that way, the self-fulfilling prophecy works. But see how it's the practice. It is your own practice and your own awareness that revealed that to you. And that truly is the inner guru and the inner Buddha there that's starting to advise you through your practice. We can sit here and talk about the teachings for so long, and sometimes you will relate to it and sometimes you will not. But if you listen to the inner Buddha, you will relate to it every time, because it's you and your observations of the world. So that's really where, you know, if you could study Buddhism or practice Buddhism, always choose practice. It will make a much better impact on your life.
I want to share as well. I got already for some time in my life, got to the point which I'm kind of happy with accepting whatever is going on in my life. But I noticed that I had problems with accepting what is going on in my inner world, like the feelings or whatever. So this week, talking about practice, I started accepting the feelings I have, because I noticed that before I was running out, or like running away from them, like I don't want to feel that way, you know. And like this week I fell down with no reason. I just like accepted that, lived it through, and that was a really good experience. And it goes away by accepting it the same as outer world. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share.
Yeah, that's a great insight as well. We tend to lose track of the fact that life is not supposed to be pain-free. Who said that, you know? There's no book in which it is written that and then life will be pain-free. No, life and pain work together. But what we have control on is to not make it worse. And that's where it's very important that we notice, you know, when we're thinking, when we're rejecting what we feel, what we think, and the things that happen, we're basically fighting against life. And guess who's going to lose?
So
that's kind of how it works.
in a way, how would Buddhism in a way contribute what pain means if pain is part of life, while the goal of Buddhism is in a way to end suffering? But can there be a distinction made between suffering and being acceptance that pain is part of life? Is there a distinction between those two?
So the real translation of dukkha, which is the Sanskrit word for suffering in Buddhism, is actually frustration. So when we are talking about the cessation of suffering, we are actually talking about the cessation of frustration. So it's not that you will be pain-free, it is that you will stop getting angry and frustrated and miserable because of the pain experience. That's what this path is truly about. But unfortunately, many subtle things get lost in translations. Many teachers don't understand that and teach it badly also, so there's a lot of confusion. But and that's confusion. That's very basic confusion. When you're trying to rid yourself of a suffering that you cannot, then you start getting frustrated with Buddhism as well. Pain is there. Pain is there. There's, of course, you can talk yourself into enduring pain. If you look like at the Wim Hof method, for example, the guy ran a marathon through the desert and he can immerse himself in ice water and he broke several world records, because of mind over body. But when you ask him, he says, I hate the cold. It's not because he likes it and he wants to spend his life in a bucket of ice, He's doing it as training. But he's not longing for pain. And he is in pain, by the way, when he's doing these things. It's just that his mind thinks nothing of it. So from moments of pain to moments of pain, it's like reality that we are used to deal with more as a process or as a liquid begins to be chopped in many small moments that you just let go of. And that's how you kind of increase your dominion over the experiences there. By being very aware of everything that's happening, you are also able to let go of everything that's happening. So in terms of preparation, because you brought that up as well, Casper, sometimes it's good to prepare. Well, if you're going to do something important, like, I don't know, buying a house or changing career, whatever, my advice there would be decide first how much preparation you're going to do. Before you start to prepare, decide where it starts and where it stops. What constitutes due diligence? Because, when you inspect a house before you buy it, no matter how good an inspector you're going to have, there are things in the wall and in the roof and in the basement, in the cement. So you cannot really make a thorough inspection unless you take the house apart, and that's never going to happen. So you need to say, well, okay, I'm going to have a very good look at the plumbing. I'm going to have a very good look at the roof, and I'm going to have a very good look at electricity. And I'm also going to check the electricity bill to make sure that this house is well insulated. And then I'm going to call it off. I'm not going to harass those poor people that are selling the house day in and day out to ask questions about it. So you determine where you start and where you stop. And that allows you to use your mind for what it's good at. Analysis, calculating, evaluation, and you stop. So your mind doesn't bridge to the part where it becomes tied in with your emotions and you worry and you become anxious. You can say, look, I wanted to check those 5 things, and I did, and now I'm moving forward. And that's it. So you could have a routine like that, before you go outside, or before you make a phone call, or before you go to a new party with new people, of things that you want to make sure won't happen. And once you're satisfied that the chances are very slim, you just move forward. So that can reduce the anxiety quite a lot to operate like this. And it keeps, most importantly, things in the right compartment. You use your mind for its intelligence and your emotions for your feelings, and nothing gets mixed. So you're not using a hammer to unscrew a screw, which sometimes we do. So maybe one more comment or insight?
Yeah, so Jay Shetty once said in a workshop that preparation, when you have anxiety for something, so he goes skydiving and he's nauseous and exciting to go skydiving, and then preparation also can help you, because you just ask what are the steps you need to take to go skydiving. So you go on the plane and you go high and you know the steps, so you go meditate on it. So you go meditate and you do it 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. Maybe the first, second, third time you get nauseous or you get anxious or stressed. But if you do it 5 or 10 times, the nausea or the anxious will go away once you get used to the sensation and the feeling.
Yeah, but well, it's I don't have the full context, and so I don't really want to comment on what Jay Shetty's saying there. I'd rather respect his work there, but the way you put it here, it feels almost like numbing yourself. I'll say that though, if you are anxious about the future, commit it to paper, indulge yourself a little while, make a plan, commit it on paper, and free your mind. If you go at night and you have stuff on your mind and it's going to keep you awake, write it on paper so that you can worry about it tomorrow, knowing that you have not forgotten anything important as well. So to work with plans and to work with steps that you need to take, and they are, most importantly, they are finite. To work that way, well, once you know that you have done all the steps, then done. And I think that's a liberation. But obviously, you know, everything that you get to know, for example, if you have a fear of spiders, and you get closer and closer to spiders and you watch documentaries about them and you get to really know them, at some point you understand that they're not really a threat. So if that's the way that Jay Shetty was putting it, I would agree, but it's difficult out of context. Just be careful not to numb yourself, I guess, is my point there.
No, it
That's
was
what
not about numbness, but it was just
Yeah.
when you have an experience and you are anxious or something. If you do it multiple times in your mind, you will not be you'll be less anxious because you know what.
were living it in your mind. Gotcha.
Yeah, I was saying meditating on it. So you are living it in your mind. So when you get anxious or nauseous of the thought, and you do it multiple times, the same scenario, you get used to it, and you will have a improvement when you do it, the thing. But if you don't see any improvement, just stop it, and it's not good. So yeah, that's the counter you need to do.
All right. Well, thank you for that, Mark. Rico, you had told me that you had a question about samsara the other day. Did you find your answer, or?
I must say that no, I haven't. It's just to be that usually I talk with a friend on the afternoons, and we discuss about what we do, and we realize that we have all sorts of addictions. Like for example, I really love sweets, or eating a little bit too much, and well, it's not very good for my health. Thankfully, I don't have any health issues, but I will not want to develop anything, and I realize that I do not control this sort of things. They kind of control me, and I just feel that I'm trapped because I, I don't have anything else to substitute with. So, for example, before I was a very performant athlete, but I got a couple of accidents, and now all my energy is not well channeled. So, kind of feel trapped in some sort of like. I don't know if this is samsara, but I feel kind of trapped into this. If you're not addict to this thing, you are addict to another one. It will be internet, or it will be food or alcohol, or well, I don't know, like other stuff. That's why I am very careful with.
So indeed, it is samsara, and it is a very very good example of it. But let me ask you this: were you always conscious of that?
No.
Do you think that now is an improvement that you're conscious of it?
Yeah. Yes.
Do you think that it controlled you more before you were conscious of it, or now that you're conscious of it?
Before I was conscious of it.
So let go of that wrong belief that you're holding right now, that it is controlling you and that there is nothing you can do about it. Because the fact that you're seeing it is the beginning of it losing its power over you. Your awareness that you're bringing to the problem right now is removing the energy from it. And the more you notice these things, in a way, the sadder you will get about that, because nobody wants to do those cycles. Nobody wants to be stuck in samsara and feeding themselves sweets and having no energy. And I don't know exactly where the solution will come from. It may take 5 minutes, it may take 5 years. But the fact that you are noticing those addictions certainly means that some of them will start leaving you. And there is no need for substitution at all. That's the easy way to treat addiction, and that's what they've been doing for dozens of years. In mental hospitals, they replace, psychological obsessions with religion and smoking and living ethics and stuff like that. And so that's just substitution and replacement therapy. It just makes you addicted to something else instead. So that's not really what you want. Just observe. Every time you are addicted, every time you do a gesture to fulfill that addiction, observe it. But also, and that's my challenge to you, observe yourself and make a decision not to indulge. So if you want that extra chocolate cookie, look at the box in front of you and look at yourself not eating it. And in there, I can join back to Mar. As you do that over and over again, it will be more and more easy to say no to the cookie and to not go to it. And you won't need to replace it by it. Will it be difficult?
Oh.
It's excruciating. It is terrible. It feels undoable. And yet you will do it. So that's what I can tell you.
Thank you.
Well, I didn't think myself that I would go this far, compared to quite some months ago with my anxiety as well. But something that I had to keep telling myself, although you could see as the addiction of staying home and never leaving, is small steps. Small steps. Because in the beginning I was still annoyed that I wanted too much progress and kept looking how it used to be or how it should be, and I would track it down and say I'm still so far away from my goal, and that would annoy me. But now I'm looking at the opposite way. Now I'm saying I'm this much closer to my goal instead of I'm that much farther from my goal. So it's kind of like the how do you see it, half full half empty glass, the way you see it, those steps you take. Either it's yay, I'm halfway there, or I'm still half away from my destination. It's all a matter of perspective and being happy with the small steps that you take, even if it takes long.
Yeah, but it's just a glass with liquid.
Yeah,
Doesn't need to be full or empty.
No, but it's an expression, I think. When
Yeah, it's an expression in our country and his country. So
wait, it
Yeah,
isn't in English?
It is as well. But what I'm saying,
okay.
what I'm saying is that this is wrong, because it gives, and it's not a big thing, but it's just because you're bringing an emotional tonality to the glass. The glass has no emotions about the liquid that's inside of it.
Yeah.
So, and you don't need to get there. You're fine the way you are, Casper. Even if it was to remain like this, if you could make peace with the way everything is in your life right now, you'd be rich and you'd be good and you'd be happy. So don't. It's again about becoming,
Yeah, I know. I understand.
Fine if you keep on moving, keep on dancing, but there's no place to go. When you arrive, it's actually the end of the path, and it's pretty boring.
Yeah.
Keep on moving.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
All right. So Julia, now's the time. Let us just do our dedication, and thank you all for being here today. Again, I appreciate it so much. let us rise, please?
For the benefit of beings without exception, I dedicate without any reticence whatsoever all the merit accrued through virtuous acts to the incomparable expanse of totality.
So you guys are great. Hopefully we'll see you next time as well. Have a very good week. Thank you. Thank you, Julia.
Cadeo.
Yeah, it's a gift. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah.
Playing that salsa, Carl. Don't think I don't see it.
Oh, how are you doing?
Hi, Mika. Oh, you're on PC.